texture is realism. Texture makes things look real. Imperfections are what makes things look real. In games, a lot of the time, when they're doing stuff like this, or when they're rendering graphics and movies, one of the main problems that they had when they started was that things looked too perfect. Different parts didn't look realistic because there was something that the mind put its finger on that knew it was fake, and they came down to basically that things were too perfect, and that the imperfections in life are what make things real, and psychologically, is we store that. So to make something look more perfect, we need to make it more broken. If that makes sense. Which, ironically, is kind of how life is anyway, I guess. You got to get a little bit broken to get more perfect, I guess. To learn about yourself and life. Man, this is one deep Skyrim night. So the stipling's looking good. Keep adding more and more. And go stipple crazy. Also, if you don't like the texture of your stippler, change something else. That's fine. Just make sure whatever you use, you're using some kind of interesting texture. Be aware, too, that when you're stippling and you're using all these different textures, you are laying on slightly thicker paint than if you were just brushing it on, because it comes to a little bit of a peak when you pull it. That's okay, but it might take a tiny bit longer to dry that way. Not the end of the world. Going and laying it on my spine now. I feel like I need some more of this color, or rather, all colors. That's what black is. Those of you who wanted to know, black is the inclusion of all visible light spectrum, whereas white is the reflection of it. Also, interestingly enough, maybe that's why we're afraid of the dark, because it includes everything. And that also means the unknown. Something to think about. Something to think about. Okay, so making that stippling again. I got some nice big fat stippling. I like that. That looks good. Good texture. That's good texture right there. Go ahead and tip your book back a little bit. This area here, add some more. I hope you guys can kind of see this. I'm going to show before and afters for next week, pictures of everything when it's done, so you can see. And besides just showing it to the camera tonight, getting a little close, and show you what our outcome looks like when we're done. Hopefully we can get everything done tonight. We may have to continue next week. I'm trying to get everything painted and ready this week. I think we can do it. We have till midnight. Okay, keeping that stippling going. Now the important thing with stippling is you got to remember that stippling also is kind of a reflection of light. So when we're stippling, we're not just adding texture, but we're also adding color. So kind of like an impressionist painter uses light that reflects to make things look more realistic, or somebody uses pointillism. I guess it would be more like pointillism in a way. We're using the way light plays off of other colors to make things look more realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this in here. So you can kind of see how that's starting to look. Looking pretty good. You can see there's a difference in how it looks compared to the alteration book. The alteration book looked real grainy in the actual game, so I used a ton of stippling on that. There wasn't really a leather texture. It just looked really grainy, like it was made of like a cloth or like like almost like a burlap kind of fabric. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep on stippling this puppy. Our potion bottle should be dry in a couple moments. All right, that's nice. Now, since we have these two colors, if we look at our destruction book, there's kind of a sort of grayish color that's in there too. And in real life, this looks too uniform. I mean, it's starting to look good. It's starting to look realistic. It's building kind of flaws and character. So we're going to use a little bit of this gray kind of color. And we're going to use our stippler again. Okay, we're going to mix these two colors together a little bit, like there. You can kind of see kind of a grayish color. We're still sticking in that kind of that spectrum of like same kind of hue. You know, kind of going throughout. Not too saturated. I'm going to take my brush here and I'm going to wring it out real good inside my paper towel. And I'm going to use a stippling effect, but I'm going to use it with my brush. See how I like it. I'm going to kind of play it off in the corner here. Make this corner a little bit. Like that. Fading in. And that kind of a faded corner there. It's been worn a little bit. I also kind of feel like this corner down here feels like it should be kind of dirtier. So I'm going to add a darker kind of stippling effect. I'm just going to keep smashing the brush into it like that. Remember, we're going for like kind of light stippling. We're not smashing the brush into it. We're not abusing it. We're lightly dusting it, kind of tipping the brush on the top of it like that. Go ahead and just kind of mix different colors in there from that plate. You can mix different variations of those three kind of shades together that we have on there. Okay. That's good, looking good. I feel like this is not dark enough, so stipple again. Real lightly, because I want texture. I don't want it to look like 80s splatter paint. Okay? You shouldn't either, because you're not taking your book roller skating. Roller skate. Speaking of roller skating, are you guys any good at roller skating? I certainly wasn't. I was the adult that always took all the young children out by accident. Or, well, I was an adult, but I was certainly older than everyone else that was trying to roller skate and was succeeding. So I'm going to make this area here a little dusky. Drag this across this kind of worn a little bit there. Use a little bit of glue. Wear it through like that. Alright. I like how this is looking. The cool thing about stippling too is that you can kind of just drag texture over there. Kind of smear it. You can do that when it starts to get not too wet, but it starts to get dry just a little bit. You can see there's not too much of a sheen on there. It's starting to look like that. It's kind of nice. And we don't want to neglect our spine and everything else. So we're going to go ahead and get in there and give that some love too. Get up all in loving it strong. Okay. There we go. Nice. Looking good. I feel like Bob Ross right now. I'm going to make some happy trees. Some happy trees. Okay. Nice. Looking good. Looking a little dirty. Like it. Same thing here. want this one corner to look slightly muddier. Just warm a little bit. I'm going to drag that brush all over the place, get rid of that stippling a little bit like it's warm. I'm going to use a little bit of that white. Dust it up a little bit. There we go, that's nice. You've got to be real careful when you're laying down color that's lighter or darker than everything else around it, because you can get kind of like a weird, just unnatural look. Like not necessarily mossy or something, but it just looks splatter painty, like I said, very 80s-ish. Or like faded denim or something goofy like that. And that's fine for weirdo fashion stuff, but not for Skyrim books. Alright, I like how we're looking here. Looking good and kind of dirty. Alright, I like this. It's looking nice. Okay, I'm going to cross over here. See how we're doing on time? It's 10 o'clock. Okay. See that? It's kind of a nice, texturized, dirty look to it. It's a little more blue, definitely, than the Destruction book that's on there. But I kind of like that. And different books in the game are different colors anyway, depending on the spell you're using. So that's cool. I think I'm going to go with this. So you can make your book whatever color you want, but I'm going to be going with kind of a more blue one. Yeah, I like this. I like that. It's got kind of a pockmarked feel to it, as if somebody ran a texturizer in Photoshop on it. So I'm going to try to accomplish that one last thing by finding something that's going to work for texture. I think some mottled tissue paper will work for that. Now this is going to be the tricky part. We're going to be using some mottled, or not tissue paper, just regular paper here. There's a couple things we have to do. We want it to be very subtle. Okay? So we're going to kind of bunch this up like this. I'm going to take it like we're going to be making, like, I don't know, Christmas present, and we're stuffing the top of the bag, you know, when you make something, you want it to look real nice for your friends, and you kind of fluff it a certain way. We're going to kind of do that. Okay, so kind of make it like that. You see that? We're just using one that we already used to clean up with. I mean, why use more? Okay? I'm going to twist this end here so it stays kind of like that. And I'm going to use a tiny bit of white over here so I can get it to fall off. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mix that color in over here. I want a grayish, more grayish color. Okay. I'm hoping this is going to work well. I think it will. It's kind of a gray color in there. All right, nice. So now I'm going to take this, and the idea is that I want kind of that relief, that kind of look there. So see these right here? I'm just going to flatten that just a tiny bit. Okay, so you can kind of see. It's important to get kind of a texture like that. See how it's got folds in it, real nice? So I'm going to dip it down real gently. Like that. Okay, see how I just picked up paint on part of it? Okay. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to stamp it like that. Same thing. Get that stamp going. Oops. There's a little piece of paint in there. And, oops. There we go. I don't know if it's going to work with this tissue paper or not. It's okay. next time I'll try a different type of material.